Hello, it's Tama here with a new video in spirit with the season. I had a sudden memory of playing Brain Dead 13 back when I was a teenager, and I went digging through my CDs to find it and show it to you.
Something is wrong, Fritz.
Brain Dead 13 was a game made by ReadySoft, now under Digital Leisure, released to PC in 1995 and later ported to other consoles in the following year. It follows the traditional Laserdisc games of the 1980s, a full-motion video game where minimal input is used to guide Lance, a computer technician, through the hallways of Dr. Neuroses.
Oh man, what a piece of junk!
While being chased by Neuroses' henchman Fritz. Being that it was a game for home PCs, it has unlimited lives and a more open-ended design than the Dragon's Lair or Space Ace games, allowing you to travel around the mansion freely, requiring you to defeat a few bosses before the final showdown. The inputs are as simple as you can get: up, down, left, right, and action. However, as this game would be extremely easy to win due to unlimited lives, it doesn't give you any guidance on when or which direction you need to go, so there is a lot of trial and error. Let's take a look at these characters. First off, we have Dr. Neuroses, who is clearly the average mad scientist.
You are in the presence of a superior intellect. My slave terminals are connected to the global network. Soon, nothing shall stand in my way. I will rule the world.
You only see him at the start and the end of the game. Your real problem is Fritz, who chases you from room to room and forces you to make snap decisions, else you end up getting taken down by his numerous weapons. Following those two, you're most likely first to see Vivi, the vampire with a southern accent.
Hey, sugar! Glad you could drop in. I'm Vivi, and welcome to Vivi's funeral salon.
Considering she's a vampire, I guess you could say she has a body to die for.
I may be a bit rusty.
She attempts to give you a makeover with some rather sharp implements.
This don't look very sharp. I'll be right
Next up, we have Moose, a Frankenstein's monster obsessed with all things sports and fulfills the stereotypical dumb jock.
Alright, Squirt! Third down, bases are loaded, and we're pulling the goalie!
There is a hedge maze out in the back of the mansion, and within it is a large merman-like statue that you have to deactivate. And finally, there are a pair of witches who have a taste for human flesh, and the both of them are mirror images and palette swaps. These bosses are placed throughout the mansion, and if you had gone into this game without any help, there's no real way knowing where the end goal is, unless you happen across the elevator near the back of the mansion, and that only appears once you defeat all of the bosses properly. Unlike Dragon's Lair or Space Ace, which follow a single path forward, the mansion allows you to freely run around from area to area. You have to make reactions fairly quickly, and as it is with games of this type, sometimes the telegraph isn't there when faced with certain enemies, so you can't be certain which move is the correct one. In most cases, you can guess which is the direction you're going to want to move, but sometimes the answers are not what you expect. For example, you might not know which direction you need to move your hand to avoid getting it chopped off.
This don't look very sharp. Oh.
Or you might not know you need to jump in order to avoid a knife swing from the alligator chef. Or in this case, you actually need to head towards the witch, otherwise you end up escaping the room without defeating them. There's actually a lot of these kind of branching pathways, and in the boss areas, you can actually escape without defeating the boss, which is a little more frustrating than the constant deaths, because you have to make your way all the way back to the boss, only to make sure you don't exit midway through again.
Oh well.
Actually, let's take a look at a couple of examples. In the witches area, Lance appears in from the bottom of the screen. It looks like you need to head up, but in order to complete the room correctly, you need to actually press down here to pick up an eyeball, and then head back. There's nothing pointing this out, and unfortunately you need to go here in order to beat the game. Here, once you've gone through the maze, the exit back to the start is right here. If you press up, Lance crawls inside and leaves the scene, and you have to go back through the maze all over again. If you press right, however, Lance crawls up the statue. These are minor annoyances, but I felt that having these exits in the middle of a boss area was inconvenient and could have been used better, perhaps in moving through secret passages throughout the mansion. Let's talk about the animation. Think about the fact that we're looking at something from 20 years ago. Toy Story 1 was released in the same year. The Seventh Guest was released 2 years before that, and it introduced streaming video to multimedia PCs. The characters move vibrantly, they have subtle animations, and they all fit rather well together in the environment. The backgrounds are equally impressive. Considering that you can't stay in a room for longer than a few seconds at a time, you really don't get enough time to appreciate the amount of detail and work that went into this game. When the game starts up, it proudly announces a Dave Quesnel game. That name for me has become synonymous with Braindead 13, and in doing research for this video, aside from knowing that ReadySoft was founded and developed in Toronto, I discovered that Dave Quesnel, also known as DQ, or Doctor of Quackery as he describes himself, is currently teaching animation at Sheridan College and has been for the past 17 years. Obviously, this man knows his stuff. Braindead 13 got a release on iOS devices in 2010, and while it's not available for iOS 11 just yet, it's still available if you haven't updated your phone. If you like the Dragon's Lair and Space Ace Laserdisc games, you might get a kick out of this hidden gem. Oh, one more thing. While looking into this game, I happened to find a number of files on the CD itself that just seem to have move lists. They're just listing L, L, R, U, F, and so on. And upon further investigation, I happened to discover that there is a cheat menu that lets you see all of the game without interruption. It took me a little searching, but of all things, I found on a German video game website that if you hold down the control key and type ReadySoft at the main screen, you'll get a cheat menu. Happy Halloween, everyone, and as always, be safe out there.